Tunaenda kazi direct. I'm going to bring up something because it's not business related, so you are free to comment or not to comment.
Yes.
All right. It's about a comment made by Junet Mohammed over the weekend about albinos. And he said that Isaac Maura alijibleach. He's not an albino and he's taking advantage. He bleached himself and, that's why he's been hanging around politics. I feel concerned as a citizen because, we don't choose what we give birth to. We have children.
Yeah.
We never sat down one day and said, okay, these are the kind of children I'm going to give birth to. It's politics. And at times I wonder, where is the border in politics between common sense and stupidity? Because there are things that you hear people speak and you wonder, when you sit at home, Eric and Wanderi, when you sit at home, after the whole day of running around, let's say today you speak stupid things. Alafu jione pata mtoto wako kwa YouTube. Anaona nasikia ile maajabu unasema. How do you feel? What do you feel about the comments? I don't know if any of you watched that and what do you feel about it? Because for me, I feel it's really disgusting. You're free to comment on it, Eric? Okay.
I think it points to the fact that our politics is basically a competition. It's a race of trying to bring each other down as compared to trying to bring each other up. And I think it is a mindset of the political class that probably need to be spoken to. I will be eagerly waiting to hear what Captain Wanderi has to say about it. But I think we need to change the narrative that politics is such a fierce competition of a crab mentality. You're trying to look at, how do I bring Bitok down? How do I bring Captain Wanderi down? And so we look at each other from a perspective of differences and weaknesses, even if those perceived weaknesses are not caused by any actions of the individual that we are talking about. I think it is very unfortunate. I respect Junet a lot. I listen to him a lot. And I will be looking forward to him this week, probably offering an apology to the albino community. Because like you say, it is not a choice that anybody makes. Tomorrow, any one of us can have a child who is an albino. And we think we need to accommodate everybody in this Kenyan society and build a country that works for everybody, including that person who is born with a disability or inability. We need to build a country that works for everybody. I think it was totally unfortunate. I hope he's going to tell us it was a slip of the tongue, but this definitely was both a slip of the tongue and the mind, and he needs to apologize for it.
Funny enough, even as you chime in, one day he apologized, but he said, but.
Yes, actually, when I saw the apology, that was the concern I had. I didn't worry very much about what he said because, as Maridady has said, something is totally wrong with the way our politicians do their business. Number one, they have a lot of contempt for the people. You see, when you're speaking to people, maybe sounding very good because, as you say, he's using crude language, and in political competition, part of the competition is crude language. But when you have contempt for the people, number one, he's made the statement in the assumption that albinos are subhuman. They are not people. And to the extent that you can even equate their coloration and lack of pigmentation to bleaching, that is an insult. Yeah. And you don't, it means he doesn't love people. That's number one. Because any person, I had occasion to work with an albino teacher. In my first years when I started the work, I have been a secondary school teacher. And I could tell that my colleague wouldn't go into the hot sun.
Yeah.
And he would have to, even before he crossed from the staff room to the classes, he would put on a hat. And I would see some of the students making a joke of it. Because they don't understand that he needs a very expensive sunscreen. And the lifespan of an albino person reduces to, especially if they get more exposed to the sun. Now, you can imagine that kind of debasing language you're using to mothers, fathers, uncles, aunts, and relatives of anybody with an albino child.
And even a child who is growing up as an albino and is looking for his identity.
Yes.
Hearing that kind of a statement is completely killing to his morale.
Yes. So actually, Junet, that the very fact that his apology is qualified, to that extent, he is the example of the kind of unhygienic politics that we have in this country. And if I was a member of the disciplinary committee of that political party, even before the other busybodies which are saying they'll take action, like NCIC, Well, I hope they do. There's another one called the Gender and Equality Commission. I haven't heard their voice. There's Kenya Human Rights Commission. And Bitok, these people are paid using public coffers to defend the public right. If that to them is not the public right and the right of a marginalized and a special category of citizens, then I don't know why they exist. Even as some of them claim they want to take action, that organization where he belongs, that political party, that political grouping, should itself just apologize and take action on him, even if it means fining him, you know, because to make an example, because this is the problem, that if you belong to a political outfit, then you say things which some people in that outfit think is good, then you are safe. That is the kind of rubbish that we have entertained in this country. Yeah. That somebody can utter anything, and we have examples, you know, we have many examples. The moment you let it go on, you don't know at what point it will ever stop. True. The next time he's going to call somebody who is quadriplegic because of an accident, he's going to call him a crawling a cockroach. Yeah. Yes, you know, and that is the kind of behavior we need to churn, you know, and cut at the base, right at the spot. Yeah. That this is unacceptable, this is improper. I'm actually waiting for some of my colleagues, my professional colleagues who are members of his political party. I haven't heard them speak. They have headed some of the commissions in this country which deal with human rights. I'm actually waiting for to hear them speak, because if that language is acceptable to them, then personally they are not acceptable to me and many other people I know. And if that political outfit then believes in that kind of debasing language, then it should not even be acceptable to right-thinking human beings.
That's very sad. Yeah. Anyway, I hope he actually apologized, because for me that's not an apology. If you have to apologize and add a but, then that's not an apology.
It's a qualified apology.
I mean, it loses its test as an apology. So I hope he's going to make a proper apology.
I think we need to rehumanize ourselves and understand that it is not winning at all cost, and come to that point that Captain Wanderi is trying to allude to, where the basic principle of loving your neighbor as you love yourself. Just asking yourself, if I was the albino, would I want to be treated like this? Would I want someone to say something like this about me? That is the very basic thing that we need to go to. It doesn't matter how much academics we have, how intellectually we can speak, if at the end of the day we do not have the empathy to sit down and ask ourselves, if I was that person, how would I feel if somebody said that about me? And I think those are the ones that are...
But I think there's also something that Wanderi has brought out about the government and its regulatory authorities. Yes. I mean, we've also failed big time, because there has to be someone who calls out, who bluffs for what it is. Yes. I mean, there has to be someone who, at the end of the day, especially when you're paying people using our taxes, NCIC has continued to demonstrate that it is not capable of doing what it's supposed to do. We are in hate speech every day. And this is how it starts. Because the more we start degrading our society, the more even the citizenry fails. I mean, we can get away with anything. I can come and call you anything one day and I'll get away with it. I can come to your house and do crazy things and I'll get away from it. I mean, at the end of it, there needs to be also some kind of common sense and responsibility in government, to an extent that we know, before you say anything, you think through it.
The most interesting thing is that there is a whole commission, a constitutional commission known as I think National Gender and Equality Commission. What is equality to some of the people in that commission? Is equality the fight between genders, the sexes between men and women? That is where some of them historically, that is the kind of philosophy and ideology they have advanced. So when it is about human beings with other characteristics, they don't seem bothered, and they are very quiet. Yet these commissions, Bitok, are surprisingly spend a lot of money defending suits in court because they are sued. And they are using public money again, paying lawyers to do that. Yet you would expect tomorrow, any sensible commission would be spending those resources to restate and to have the court adjudicate and say, this member of parliament was wrong. His apology must be unqualified. If he is not, then he should be declared a person unfit to hold any public office under Chapter 6. Because, you look at Article 10, Article 232 of the Constitution, Principles of Public Service, and you ask yourself, This man, the member of parliament, is also paid from public taxes, but his contempt. So actually, should everybody who is an albino or any parent with an albino child refuse to be taxed and or claim, go to court and say my taxes should not be used to pay that member of parliament because of that kind of debasing and disgusting language? Because that is now where those commissions come in. You know, you have to delimit. He has a freedom of speech, but his freedom of speech ends where the rights of an albino child begins.
And from that point, it's not guaranteed.
Yes.
All right. The issue of mambo ya corona, I think, is it time to open up the economy? People are suffering. The economy is suffering. The state of economy is in a very sad state. And I've seen also the Standard has really captured it well. And as I said, is it time to end the curfew? Lost jobs, lost livelihoods during the day. Very little will tell you, you will tell we are living in old times. A lot of strict COVID-19 measures have disappeared with time. And super spreader political rallies are back. But the nights are here really different. The 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. curfew stands, and our business owners are asking questions. The story is on page 4 and and 5. But the thing is, we all do business here. I mean, do you feel it's time to open up the economy?
My opinion to this, Bitok, is that we need to look at the data, and the data has continuously told us how many people have gotten infected and how many people have died every day. I think comparing the people getting infected and the people that are recovering, and it is very unfortunate that we don't have data on the people who get infected and they never show up for a test or even find themselves in a hospital. I would think they are more. See, the people who are getting infected by COVID-19 and their data is never captured anywhere could be more right now in the country. This has been a long journey from the month of March for the country to date. And I think now we can authoritatively say that we know better how to manage ourselves to slow down the spread. And I think we know better how our human beings or the society is responding to COVID-19 when infected. It is not time to go all loose as a country, but I think now is a time when we can say that this is something that we can actually be able to live with, even if we reopen the economy. I'm very encouraged by the fact that we reopened the academic institutions. Our children are going to school, and Bitok, the fear that we had that that is going to create a bushfire in terms of COVID-19 spread has not happened yet. So this could probably mean that people are becoming better in being able to manage themselves not to get infected, and therefore we can be able to reopen the economy and survive with COVID-19 among us. Yeah.
So tuache mambo ya kufinyia, because watu wa entertainment industry are crying, people operating clubs are crying, people are doing hotels as well are crying, because people used to sell a lot at night.
Yes.
You realize that people don't eat much during the day. Tunakuwa tumeshinda tumezunguka na kuketi. In the evening, that's when we sit down and have coffee or maybe have a meal. What are your thoughts, Wanderi? Is it time we open this economy?
Number one, Bitok, the saddest part about all this whole thing about COVID and the restrictions is that it is applied selectively. And that is now my greatest concern. That I still get people who tell me they move at night because they have the ability to move around. And then what are the people who are getting affected by these restrictions? Again, the lower segments of our population. It is them who get fined at the instant through a bribe when they meet the police after 10 o'clock. It is not the guy who is driving. I can assure you, Eric, and you know, when you are driving in the streets of Nairobi, it's not that I have willingly breached the COVID restrictions, but I know, as a matter of fact, that when you are driving, even if it is past 10, most likely, unless you get a roadblock, nobody is going to stop you. But a lot of our people who are on the walk, who are pedestrians, again, the lower segment of our population, are the ones bearing the brunt of these restrictions. And, you know, any society that is not able to take care of the people at the bottom, that society is not worth calling itself a civilized society. And that's why we should focus on the people who work in restaurants, in hotels, in pubs. Again, these are our colleagues. If last year was a difficult, particularly for those people who are in business, was not a difficult year. People had some reserves. This is a time I can tell that something wrong has happened. I have seen many of my neighbors move away from where they live, children having to change schools, go to cheaper schools. Parents unable to pay rent at the rate they were paying last year and having to move to cheaper neighborhoods. That is the impact is now. And I want, you've talked about statistics. I follow. Yesterday we had 159 infections against 4,200. That's way below the threshold of 5%. But you see, the WHO says that we need to have a threshold of below 5% infections per whole month, so that we then can relax our restrictions. But as you say, our children are back in school. Other activities are going on.
Yeah.
I think a lot of time and a lot of resources are being spent focusing on the wrong thing. If it's a question of upgrading our people and telling them, let's learn to live with this. HIV has been here from 1984. Haven't people learned to live with it? They have. People have adjusted. It's the same thing I think we need to do with COVID. And if we are restricting the economy after 10 o'clock, what about the political rallies? What about the meetings people are attending? What about the public transportation system?
Yeah.
You know, again, the people we are hurting, we go back to that the values and ethos of our society. Why is it that the person who seems to be down there is not treated like a citizen? Is not considered like they have the full rights like the person with something? That is the tragedy that we have. And therefore, in reopening the economy or consideration of looking at those restrictions, we need to look at what we need to do to protect, particularly, the dignity. Because for me, it's no longer even about human rights. It's about the dignity.
It's about the basics now.
Yeah, the basics, the dignity of that person, the pride of that person. That because to be out of a job, especially when you have no other source of income, is very indignified. Actually, it makes you lose dignity.
Yeah.
It makes you. We talked about it earlier about having to approach friends. Lend me 1,000. Lend me 500.
Yeah.
There is that element of feeling like, am I not a full human being? Is there something wrong with me?
Yeah.
And why are we treating our colleagues, our fellow citizens, as if they are not part of our society? I particularly have a problem with people who use degrading words to describe the lower segment, calling them names that, like you would have in the past, Uye ni Bamid. I mean, that's a very degrading term, because that is a person who is employed to give you a service. And without that person, even the owner of that business may not be able to deliver to function.
Sure.
And we need to kind of even sanitize our own language.
Yeah.
So that we bring respect to the hassles,
Yeah.
When you say whatever a person does should be dignified as long as it is their source of income.
True. Because I also like the fact that, there's something that you were educating me on before the show started, how for even the big organizations to run, the services that are being offered by the smallest person at the economy actually really matter.
Yes.
That tout, that person we call a makanga who is working very hard, very early in the morning to take people to work. If he downs his tools and stops working, it means that you're not going to have your employees at work that day. So really, like you say, the aspect of respecting everybody, no matter where they are on the pyramid of the economy, is very, very important.
All right. Now let's talk about the something you've taught me today that I think a lot of people would want to learn. The MSME. We've always known about the SME sector. Now there's something else you're calling the MSME. I mean, what is MSME? What is the MSME sector?
Bitok, let's define the terms first so that we get on the same platform. The MSME sector is the micro, small and medium enterprises. Micro, in definition, they either define mainly in terms of employees or the turnover they churn out. But the UN and WTO definition has been focused more on the number of employees. The number of employees that define a micro enterprise are anybody with employees of one employee to 9, or let's say to 10. That is a micro enterprise. Then you have the small enterprise, which has 11 to 49 or call them to 50 employees. Then 51 to 100, that is a medium enterprise. And there's a reason why I want us to get into this definition, because a lot of people in this country assume that they are very large or they are very big. Whether you are a doctor, an engineer, an accountant, a lawyer, if you have less than 10 employees, you belong to the micro enterprise. So we are talking about the biggest chunk of our people. The medium enterprise, the small enterprise is, again, that is where again we have the bulk of our emerging industries. That is 11 to 50 employees. Then you have what you call the tier, the first tier into entry into the big to the big companies, because how many, most of them, the employers in this country don't have 100 employees, because the moment you are between 51 to 100, then you are a medium enterprise. And if you look at we had competitions on the top 100 medium enterprises. That's the definition, and you'd be shocked at the turnover those industries were making. Some of them were even hitting 100, 500 million, $500 million, you know, but they're still medium enterprises. We even had small that were still hitting at that level. And those are the ones now that need to be encouraged to move to the other tier. So anybody getting that definition, but I wanted to qualify it because I had talked to Eric about it, that the reason why perhaps those professionals, because of their turnover and the nature of their business, are not called small micro, is because look at a doctor. A doctor has a clinic, he has a secretary, a receptionist, and perhaps a nurse. So there are 3 or 4 employees. So essentially, by definition of the WTO and the UN, he is a micro. But before he churns out his process output, when you go to him, he will give you a prescription, send you to a lab, send you to a radiographer. So there will be other people in between who will do part of the entire package of what he delivers. Consequently, because of those other derivatives of his business, and the other people now that come in, his business now moves to the next level. It becomes small simply because it now gets more employees. They may not be direct employees, but they are necessarily part of the value chain, and that is where a lot of these professionals belong. Lawyers will belong there, accountants will belong there, because even when they make reports, auditors, it will have to be bowed, and the person bidding, it will never be a complete report until that spiral bidding is done.
That is done by the cyber cafe.
Yes, and done by the cyber cafe. So he creates his job creates another derivative enterprise, and so many of them create many of those, and therefore that's when they move to the next tier. But essentially they are micro. So then if you look at the numbers, micro, small or my MSMEs in this country employ 97.6% of the population. That's 15.2 million Kenyans are employed by that sector. And therefore this is the sector we should be focusing on. This is where the rubber meets the road. If we have 18 million adults, that should then tell you that only about 2.7 million Kenyans are in formal employment, earning a salary at the end of the month. So should those be our focus, or should our focus be on the MSMEs?
That's interesting. You have anything to weigh in on that before we go into the challenges that come in the
I just
MSME?
love Captain's grasp of the statistics. When you're told that over 90% of your economy is controlled by MSMEs, then you can actually see where we should be focusing our policies on, where we should be focusing our credit on, because numbers don't lie. If over 15 million Kenyans are actually working in the small and medium-sized enterprises, then I think it is a big wake-up call, even for the people who are running those businesses, to understand that they are actually the people driving this country forward.
I wonder though about the parameters that are used to classify, because you mentioned about employees. There could be companies that even run by one person to churn over maybe even 50 million. In terms of turnovers. So do they still remain small?
No. Yes, in terms of definition, many of them move from micro to small. But the moment, again, there is a threshold in the country, which is now based on, again, these authorities of government sometimes work at cross purposes. You have KIPRA defining MSMEs in a different way. Then you have again the Kenya Revenue Authority, because for the Kenya Revenue Authority, the moment your turnover is 100 million, they will move you from micro.
Yeah.
They will automatically move you to small. The moment you hit 500 million, whether you're one person, they move you automatically to medium.
Yeah.
Yes. And by the time you're hitting 1 billion bitok, they move you to large taxpayers. Turnover. Yes. So that is essentially now the way the classification is. So there seems to be there isn't a common distinction, but these authorities have defined these entities, and it is because of their own, because of the laws that again govern them. But you can see clearly, then the moment then you have 100 million, you are moved to medium. The moment you have you are moved to a small, but the moment you move to 500 million, you're automatically in medium. Okay, and the moment you get above that, you are moving to a very different definition. So you will even find that, for example, for the authority, it has a large taxpayers office, which is basically the government entities and those with $1 billion turnover. Then you have the medium sized, which is 500 million to $1 billion. Then the others 100 million to 500. You can see the definitions are different. So they will move you according to the tire. But the reason why we don't have a definition, you're asking a very good question, is because we don't care about this very important sector. That is why there are so many players doing different things, focus on the same sector, instead of making this sector the very core of our policy formulation for business and the economy. Why? Because these MSMEs is where innovation and enterprise thrives. Innovation and enterprise. These are the people who develop new products, new marketing strategies. They come up with new ways of doing things, new ways of doing business. They are the people who actually even connect, who even make us known beyond our borders. You know? Yeah, and the multinationals have already made it, but the multinationals hardly market a country. Countries are marketed by their own small businesses, because those are the people who make unique products and export, and then give the country an identity as a source of unique products, not the multinationals.
I have a question, because I told you here today, this morning, I'm also a student.
It's a masterclass.
Yeah, it's a masterclass. And I know Captain is an authority when it comes to academia. And as a young psychologist, I wanted to ask him, now with the data.
Yes.
Do you think that, because the academic sector plays a very big role in preparing the labor force
yes.
going to work for the economy.
Sure.
What is I would want to pick your mind on what you think. Is our education system aligned to these realities? Is it preparing students to work in the small and medium-sized enterprises? Or are they turning out graduates who believe that they must get a job in a very big corporate in the country?
Eric, there is a total disconnect between the academia and the job market. And you see, you have... once you've been to university in Kenya, upon graduation, we are told to read and write and do all that appertains to the degree. Nobody tells you to go and work. There's nobody who tells you to go and do a job. Or are you told to go and do a job?
No.
You are told to go to
read and
write and do all that appertains to that degree. What does that mean to a lot of people? You have a lot of people who get the bachelor's degree, and the first thing they think, I am not able to get a job, so I go and get a master's degree.
Yeah.
Now, getting academic education and gaining experiential knowledge to work, those are two different things.
Yeah.
And that is why you will find, and a question I like asking, you go to Gekomba in our people who are the artisans. I like visiting those areas sometimes, and I see the ingenuity of the people. Somebody did not even go to a technical college, but is able to convert metal, put metal together and convert it into some item. But you have a professor of engineering who is going on strike to ask for a pay rise. What, you can see what
disconnect
what a disconnect, and then there is a problem in our system. And I remember Dr. William Ruto, the deputy president, one time he was criticized, but people did not get him when he said that we have courses at the universities which are not adding value to our economy. Because any knowledge that does not add value to the capital markets is useless.
It's useless.
Useless.
I agree with you.
Any knowledge that cannot help you convert. I engage in reading a lot because I'm in the knowledge economy. I am paid because I know. I'm not paid because I don't know.
Yeah.
So if there is a new way,
You paid because you know something.
yes, I am paid because I know something. If I am helping somebody deal with the integrity issues in the organization, I need to engage in forensic studies. If there are risks in business, I need to engage in that. So I am constantly in search of knowledge because I am in the knowledge-based economy. And this is where we need to get our young people to. That please, as you wait for a job, there is something we mentioned here. Capital has never been the beginning. Zuckerberg, or what Kenyans call him Zuckerberg, Zuckerberg or wherever, and Bill Gates.
We should change his name to come out. I think it's, or TNO.
Yes, exactly. Now, these people did not begin with money.
True.
And this is the question I always ask graduates. When you tell me you don't have capital, who told you that capital is important? You begin with ideas.
With ideas, yeah.
And I like telling them how I began. I went down one day when I was a student, a third year student in the university. I realized that people in Uptown don't know how to weigh these photocopying, typing papers, printing papers. I remembered asking you whether you know the difference. Sometimes you just get a photocopy, but whether you know the difference between 110 grams, 80 grams, 70 grams. I know.
Why do I need to know about the grams? I just need a paper and I go.
That time I needed to know, and that's where I'm challenging the graduates.
Yeah.
So once I get that knowledge, then I would go to Uptown and tell these people I can get this. And I never forget that a lady called Mrs. Kariuki. I told her, I know where the market is. So you only need me to trust me with your paper. You know? Because you asked also a question about what is this the old people can do for the young people. And therefore, you see, with that knowledge, I was able to approach these people and tell them, no, you are using the wrong paper. Use the right paper. And with the right paper, you pay cheaper. Where can I get this? And I would take those papers. In a day, if I was going to sell 20 papers, 20 rims, and I make 10 shillings in each, how much would I make in 1992?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
That is 200 shillings. That is the
When
way
bread was 3
that is
shillings.
the way I built my first house in the village. I did not ask my parents for money. So I needed to use my head and my ideas and walk my legs down there. So first I need to shed away pride. I need not go telling everybody that I'm a graduate or I will graduate. No, it's not necessary. What matters is what makes you a coin. Then I started walking from Parklands to Mlango Kubwa. I am a man called Mr. Karatha who tell me, you sit with me here. You know how to sell this mituba. You sort them out. So he will tell me this is grade 1, this is grade 2. Then I would not only pick the best ones for myself and take the students and make an extra coin. I would also shout there and go home with 100 shillings.
Get something.
You know then. But you see, these things you learn because sometimes circumstances force you. We did not do this because it's because we belong to the proper hustler class. You know? That where our challenges of our origins were such that I can't go back home and ask my father for 100 shillings.
Yeah.
So I need to have to be ingenuine to look for it. And that's the challenge I make to the graduates today. Read, write, and do all that appertains to your degree. I have seen people who've graduated with different degrees. I know a few young people. I know one who told me, she's called Margaret Wanja. She told me she has a business and employs more than 5 people. Yes, in the textile industry. And she told me to convince her father that she needs 3 million as capital because she has the idea. So I told her, let's sit down and see whether your idea makes sense. She's one example I use of a woman in business. She has never been employed. First class business in information systems from Strathmore University.
Statement of that lady called Wanja, using him to convince the dad to give him capital.
Yes.
Captain, I would want to know the older generation, which
Yes.
you're closer to than I am.
Yes.
Could be a gap of 15, 20 years between me and them.
Yes.
And they are holding a lot of capital in this country. They've
Yes.
taken their children to school.
Yes.
Don't you think we need a paradigm shift in convincing the older generation that, yes, you may have taken your child to school to do a business degree,
Yes.
but because of the credit structure of the country, formal credit really doesn't go to startups. It goes to businesses that are established. The first question a banker asks you before you get a loan is, for how long have you done this business? that already tells you that that capital is not structured for a startup.
Yes.
Don't you think we need to speak to the older generation to increase their faith that, yes, you have taken your child to school, but would you also set aside some money to give them a startup capital? What is it that we need to do to bridge that gap between the younger generation and the older generation?
Eric, we the older generation, because once you near the fifth floor, you never want to call yourself the mid. I don't even want to call myself the middle generation.
The middle enterprise.
No, the middle aged people. No.
Terms of age.
I am tickering towards, and since my daughter will be voting in 2022, I can no longer be calling myself youth. No. In fact, youth ended many years ago. But I get your point. We, the older generation, have the advantage of time, knowledge, and experience. The young generation, your generation, has the advantage of more time in terms of you have a lot of time at your hands, new knowledge, energy, vigor,
the agility to do things.
Yes, that is what you have. So what is it that you can sell to me for me to finance your business? Number one, I've always told people, if I am building a house worth 10 million, please don't steal from me 10,000.
True.
You are a very foolish young man or a young woman. Try and look at the value chain of what I'm doing and see how you can get 100,000. And since I've helped people in that regard, the most important thing you can sell as a young person and as a young graduate are two things: ideas and trust. Ideas and trust. The Middle Eastern economies, and again, we have our Somali brothers and sisters. They use that, they call it the wakil system. It's like the person who speaks on your behalf. Okay? You come to me and you say, this is my son. I want him to get into the commodity merchandising. Please give him the watches. That is why you see a lot of people in Italy selling good watches. They didn't bring them, but they work on the basis of trust, which is based on family ties. Because I know in the Somali culture, you don't belong to yourself. You belong to your family, you belong to your sub-clan, you belong to your clan, and you belong to the community. So your great-grandfather, if he is known to the other person, you will get assisted. But now this is where the rubber meets the road. Why should I trust you with my money if you can't write it down? I have told you what I did with that lady. You sit down, and the first thing she told me, there is a reason I have told you, you need to convince that to give me the money. She said him and mom travel, even for a month, out of the country. And I have run their enterprises, and they have not collapsed. And I have run these enterprises and asked them, these I already have, I can show that I am dependable. I can be trusted. I did not squander that money. So let me write down my idea. Do you think? And I will tell her, so what are you going to do with the 3 million? She will tell me, I need a premises. This is what I will do. This is what I will do. And the first goods I will take from my father, I will buy. He will not give me on credit. I will buy. I will buy. Then she says that since I know I can sell and the people know me, once I sell, I will pay at this rate. This is what the older generation needs. To hear that. And that question I've said, ideas and trust. Now, let me take you, because you've asked what we do. I have relatives up country, and some of them approach me and tell me, look, I have nothing, I can't do anything. But I tell them, you have lad. Who told you you are poor? There must be something you can do with that lad. And let me tell you, Eric, my challenge. I have taken some of my cousins and told them, I visit them, I can see you're looking after this cow which is not the proper breed. I come from an area where there's good dairy production and the marketing is okay. So I had to give my cousin a heifer, which I bought at 50,000. And I told him, you look after it. Is that heifer his? He didn't buy it. Who bought it? It is mine. But he's looking after it in trust. Now he looks after it. Fortunately, Isaiah has another heifer. And again, I don't want him. I will tell him, when it comes to serving it, please tell me so that I can pay for the veterinary service and pay for the high-grade seed. Then after a year, I told him, I will wait even a year. That heifer, let it get fed well, give it to me. Did I take the original cow? I left it with him. Did I change that young man's life?
You did.
Based on what?
Yeah.
But I also have cousins and who I can't give them. No, because I know if you cannot.
I hope they're not listening this morning.
Even if they're listening, they know my start on that.
Very courageous man.
No, because if you cannot look after a goat,
yeah,
I can't give you a cow.
True.
So you need to demonstrate to me, Bitok, that you can look after a goat, so that I trust you with a cow. And this is where the young people are not willing. You want to dress nicely, like these things came in. No, you have to learn to get down to Gikoba, dress that way, until you get to a point where you are able to look after yourself. But again, as I've told you, the older generation, that is the only thing. I can't do everything I want to do in life. I have other people looking after my businesses, okay? Yeah. And especially one area I like encouraging the young people. You see the construction sector? If you are a graduate, because I have helped one in that. And I told him, and he thanked me after 4 years, because I moved him from, and I told him, you are a graduate, yes. But right now, you are supervising guys doing tiles in somebody's house. And I told him, that is the business you know. That's the job you know. And since you also understand the watering systems, that is what you can do. Please do it, and do it with trust. I went to Mombasa, but I left this man fixing doors in the premises I had. Metallic doors. And I simply told my brother, go and check whether they are done. And the moment I learned, he's called Joroge. The moment I learned that I can trust Joroge with my 20,000 and my work is done to satisfaction, the next stage, I had no worry telling him, go even now take those things on credit and fix, I will pay. And the moment he learned that I will never shortage him, he would tell people, mzee huyu atalipa. Then we went on that way. I introduced him to other people. Moved him from Bakasi. Brought him to people who wanted to do repairs in Kileshwa. Finally, he was doing business in Rongai. Managing people's constructions. Remember I said he has the time. The time, yeah. He has the energy. He can hop into a boda, go to a hardware and pick the products that are needed and go fast. Did he first tell me he's a graduate, he wanted a job in the office? I told him I don't have such a job. So the best you can do is use the time and the skill that you have. In 2013, he sent me a message text and he told me, Mzee, what you taught me, I have learned. Now, I have my own car, a fielder. I have my own plot in Ruai, and I'm staying in my own house. From between 2010, or late 2009 to 2013. Wow. Trust.
Captain, I like that, and I wanted to pick your mind on one more thing. Sometimes 1 year and a half ago, I got an opportunity to visit the Coca-Cola Museum. And one of the things I learned while I was there is that in the life cycle of the business that is Coca-Cola today, in 1926, I think 1919, the Coca-Cola company was able to get a loan from a commercial bank in the US using the Coca-Cola formula as their collateral. And when I think about the credit system of the country, you will find that loans are only issued against land. The first question, the last question, after the banker likes your idea on paper and likes your numbers and has looked at your bank statements for the last 6 months or 1 year, the last question is going to be, do you have a title deed to use as security?
Or a car.
And the question I wanted to ask you as someone who has proximity to the policymakers is, how do we bring our economy to a point whereby we are able to think beyond land as security? You've talked about ideas. We have a lot of young people that have beautiful ideas. You look at a young person with a beautiful business idea, or even just a gifted musician who has very good music, very good songs, but doesn't have the capital to record his music and send it to YouTube to the world. How do we bring our financial sector, for example, the people making the policies there, to understand that there can be other ways of securing credit other than the traditional method of land? Because, Captain, I'm sure you would agree with me, it's like the suggestion out there is that we can do a valuation for the whole country and ask how much is our land worth as a country. Is it 100 billion or 300 or 1 trillion? And assume that is the possible ceiling size of our economy based on how the credit system works. How do we bring ourselves to understanding that wealth can be generated out of intellectual properties, for example?
You know, I like the way, Eric, you've asked it. As you talk about Coca-Cola, there is something we call intellectual property. M-Pesa is a protected signage name, and it's not based in Kenya. It's registered in a foreign country.
Yeah.
Do you know how much Safaricom Kenya Limited paid for the use of the M-Pesa brand? Do you know how much they paid?
How much did they pay?
Now, that will shock a lot of Kenyans, because sometimes back, Kenya paid, that's 2018, 2019, 2.7 billion shillings for the use of that.
Wow.
Yes. And that's intellectual
Property.
Let's get to where the rubber meets the road. Kenyan financial institutions, unfortunately, are like Shylocks, because they do not fund ideas. Why would you fund ideas when you have a possibility of making money without having to worry about risk? And why do I say this? Because in 2016, 2017, before the introduction of that interest capping law, Kenyan banks were returning in sub-Saharan Africa 24% of the initial investment. I mean, you know, this is what you call the measure on returns.
Yeah.
24% on average.
That means they double their money every 4 years.
Yes, it's like a pyramid scheme. And this is why it is lazy. It is lazy way of doing. There is a total disconnect between economics and banking in this country. These entities are managed and staffed with people who cannot think beyond the mechanics of pick money, led out. You know, they cannot think about startups. They cannot think about ideas, for example. And they do not even get it that they want to use the people who've made it in social media, the people with names, to market, but they cannot see the brand, what it took to make that brand. And they were never associated with those who associate themselves with Paul Terragat. Were they there when he was training? Were they funding his trips to train? Zero. Those who will join Bitok and say they want to advertise and be associated with him, are they here? No. But they will want to ride on, which is now a biggest problem. And the reason why they engage that way is because they make super profits at the expense of the growth of the economy. And you see, since most of these institutions are owned by foreigners, and even if they are local, they have a very large segment or a large segment of the shareholding being foreign, the profits are repatriated. You know, that's now a net loss to our economy. That is a very, very big mistake we've done. But the way to go about it, as you said, sometimes is first for the government itself to even simplify the registration of novel ideas. Today, if you have a discovery in this country, how do you go about to the Kenya Industrial Property Office? It takes, you need a patent agent, you need so and so, you need a lot of intermediaries to register a novel idea. Now, remember that in those countries, they've made it easier to register those formulas.
Just this morning, I was asking myself, if a young student in Nairobi University, for example, came up with a vaccine for COVID-19, which is a real problem as we speak right now, how would he fund the idea? Where would he even start?
Yes, the first start would be having to register that idea as a novel discovery, okay, as an intellectual property, as something unique. It has not been there before. And there are registration of patents, trademarks, trade names happening every day. But the process is so lengthy and so difficult that I have friends who are in the manufacturing sector. In fact, I carry one, he manufactures food color. And he shows me how it is done. He only knows the temperatures you need to hit the chemicals. But he told me he tried explaining that to professors, even from Jomo Kenyatta University, professors of chemistry, and simply they could not understand. And because he left high school, they're asking him to write chemical formulas, and he told them, wherever I got this knowledge, you don't worry. But he was employed by somebody. He got some knowledge. He continues to use that knowledge unregistered.
Yeah.
And it has made him great. He's doing well.
Experiential learning.
Yes, experiential learning. But we've tried to, because anytime you get a roadblock, that he's told to produce the chemical formula of converting. But he tells his workers, I want this one heated to this one. This one heated at this point. Then he tells them, put a peso inside, remove, let me see the coloration. Stop, that is now done. He knows, but asking him to write down formulas, you think it's possible? And the people who wants to learn how it is done, what they tell him is, give us the secrets of the way it is done. And he told me over his dead body, he's not going to give anybody the secrets. Now, why does that? It makes it very difficult for somebody to register a formula. And this is where I talked about the disconnect between academics and experience. Because this person
and the true economy.
Yeah, and the true economy.
Because my mom can make githeri every day, but she will not give you a recipe.
Yes.
She doesn't know how to make a recipe.
But she knows.
But she makes the githeri.
And she knows when it is fully
cooked.
Yeah. The same thing with the Bitox auntie. She will make good murusik. And when you taste it, it's good murusik.
Yeah.
So ask her to do a formula for murusik and write it down. It will not be possible. So we must also get high from the high horse and start focusing at the things our people are doing. Okay, so my friend Kimaro has continued to make his food color, sell it, trade, and he lives well, but there is nobody who is going to register. So who is going to fund it?
True.
You get now the difference.
I get the point.
So he has had to convert and now do other business, which looks now like maybe buy land, a house, then use it as collateral. Yet his idea, and I can tell you, he has competed with people from China, from India, and he beat them.
Which brings me to the last question I want to ask you before Bitok takes back his mantle.
No, the mantle is yours.
Demystifying capital.
Yes.
You know, I've gone through the full cycle of education in this country. I am a proper 844 graduate. I can brag about that.
Yes.
Doing my master's in counseling psychology right now. And the full cycle of the 844 system has taught our young people that capital is only money. How do we go back to correct the script that tells the young people, you know, your talent can be your capital. Your past knowledge in your father's business can be your capital. Yeah, your ability to come up with an idea on how to solve a problem that is real in society can be your capital. How do we bring our people to understanding that money as a form of capital may be the last thing that you will actually need to grow your business, but you already have it? You gave an example of land. You know, people have a lot of ancestral land in this country, and land is a big issue in this country.
Yes.
Somebody has land that is next to a river. In a very populated area, if you go to places like where I come from Gashie. You have Gashie, you have Wangige, you have Ruaka, and all these places. We have streams of rivers moving along our lands, and someone is sitting on an acre or a quarter of land. And this is land, this is water. This is a market called Ruaka where people are yearning for greens.
Yes.
How do we convince our young people that it is okay for you to put on the gumboots, put on the apron, go to your small piece of land and start planting sukuma wikis and taking them to the market, and that will help you penetrate the economy that you come from?
Eric, socialization. I have talked about funding people to, you know, essentially I'm funding. When I give you a cow or a heifer, I'm funding you. But I said you have to demonstrate that you can look after a goat for me to trust you with a heifer. But what our people trained, what are the educated people in this country doing? If you look at most people who left in the morning, if you are not wearing a tie and a suit, you are considered a failure in this country. That's number one. Now, yes, I am a lawyer. I don't have a court case today. When I came here the last time, I had a court session in the afternoon. So I need to wear that way. But when I'm like this is the way I should be.
Yeah.
Because this is what is comfortable. I will do my pleadings today. So how do we disconnect? It's a question of socialization. And even our pedagogy, our education philosophy. Because education is not just plain education. They should have a philosophy. I was telling Bitok the last time I was here that when I was a member of a board in a school and I chaired it, I not only gifted those who were in academics, I wanted the best footballer, the best comedian, the best dressed young man, the best athletes. For the best athletes, I'll shock you. Some of them are cops. You know, they have become inspectors of police.
Wow.
And you will meet them and they will salute and tell me, Chairman, you made us proud.
Yeah.
And because I knew that they want examples, I did not take academicians to the prize giving days. No, there were days I took a police sergeant and a police inspector.
Wow.
Because this is what the people are.
Yeah.
This is what they can see. This is what they identify with.
Yeah.
And I was telling these guys that, yes, they are academicians. They are those who will come, tell you, read. But not everybody has that intellectual capability.
Yeah.
But the problem with our education system is that we have put the degree as a very important thing, so that even to be a member of parliament, you require a degree. Yeah. To be an MCA, you require a degree. So what are we doing? So universities have come up with a way of selling them, because that's actually selling them.
Yeah.
You know, when you tell somebody you can spend some time here and we gift you a degree, you are selling papers. You are selling papers. If the structure, if the base is not good, if the grounding is not good, you cannot put a structure. How does somebody who, for example, managed D minus, then end up being holding a PhD? There must be something wrong. Either there was something wrong in the way we graded that person, or there is something wrong with the tertiary education. Yeah. And if somebody thinks that by getting an additional degree, they're going to get a job, then that's a mistake. And I when I meet graduates, I tell them, I have never studied upwards. No, I don't believe in vertical education. Yeah. I actually do it horizontally. If the skill gap I have is about human resource management, BTOC, that's what I'm going to study. I'm not going for a master's degree. No. If what I don't have is, so I will study diplomas. So my papers are many, and they are all relevant, because I look for a paper that is relevant to what I am doing and that adds value to what I am doing. Yeah. But remember, it is the doing first, not the paper first. But what we have in this country is the paper first. Why can't we even grant PhDs? We called Moi the professor of politics. Yeah. So how many degrees did he have? Very many honorary doctorates. Yeah. But did he manage this country for 24 years? Did the country sink? No. He saved this country. It survived. Were the boundaries of Kenya even contested at that time? No. Was Kenya not the haven of everybody around here? Ugandans, Ethiopians, everybody was running here? Yeah. Then that tells you that you did not. But we had professors who have mismanaged counties? We have had professors who have been unable to manage CDF, 80 million, 100 million. Yeah. Why should we trust them with a country because they have a degree? So should the degree then be the basis of looking at people's ability to work? No. The United States has already changed that. Places like Germany, they're more into the technical know-how. This is why children in China are producing toys in grade 12.
And we are buying them here.
Adults are buying here.
Children are produced by children. Because the education system is based on to do or not to do, not know to memorize.
Prove you know on paper.
To memorize. And perhaps the experience I had is at the military, because instructor will tell you, instructor peke yake, demonstration. This is how you present arms. So then you tell lawyers, engineers, doctors, we were there, specialists, and you fail. And they tells you, sasa uko na degree. Na masomo mingi. Sasa hii masomo imekushida kuweka buduki hapa na kupiga mzuri.
Kiingereza
mingi. Then you learn there is a very big difference between the formal education and doing. And this is now where the problem is. And we need to change even our pedagogy early in the year. You remember the song? Someni vijana. Baada ya masomo utapata kazi nzuri sana. And that is now the logic that we have a problem. That since I have education, if I do pig farming, I'm going to do it very well.
Very well.
I use the example of Waja. Yeah. If you find her on her computer,
Yeah.
her business is done scientifically because she has the knowledge.
The knowledge.
Let me shock you. Within a few years, she lives in her own house.
Wow.
Oh, amazing.
You get?
You talk, you
Hey,
need
Wanja,
to,
she
you need
should
to
come
meet
here on
Wanja.
Monday.
Yes.
You
In fact,
should bring her on Monday.
Yeah, I will bring her.
Bring her on Monday.
Then you learn.
Sindio?
Bitok, we must ask Captain this question that we've been having. You know, as our generation, we have seen a lot of depression.
Yes.
You know, for people who are in midlife, for example. And I wanted to pick your mind on the issue of second chances.
Yes.
Issue of resilience and bouncing back. Just the other day, the newspaper gave us statistics that said that over 15 million Kenyans are listed by the credit reference bureaus. Yeah, and this points out to the fact that people have tried to do things and maybe they have failed in those things.
Yes.
And that is coming back to bite them. I would want to pick your mind on the issue of a society that embraces somebody who is looking for a second chance. This is someone who didn't do well in school, for example. This is someone who tried a marriage that didn't work. Yeah, this is someone who genuinely maybe they tried to start a business and the business did not do well. It looks like if you look at the mainstream institutions, for example, if you pick the financial institutions or if you pick even the legal systems, it is like there is no remedial policies that yes, this is someone who tried, is a genuine entrepreneur who tried, but maybe their business did not pick up for one reason or the other.
Yes.
It's like the system is set to just throw them away.
Condemn somebody to eternity.
Condemn to eternity. You know, you tried a business and it didn't work. You tried a marriage and it didn't work. And we have a big psychological problem now in society in trying to reignite these people to try again. What is it that you think that needs to be done from a policy perspective, from a conversation perspective, to encourage people to understand that it is okay to try and fail? I will tell you, Captain, that, for example, in our society, and we have a lot of business schools, a lot of people think that a business making a loss is a crime. There are very many people, if you told them that my business made a loss,
Yes.
they think that it is criminal. Yeah, how do we bring people to understanding that the process of making a business profitable is a journey? For example, I was reading the story of Alibaba Cloud over the weekend.
Yes.
And I found out that it has taken them 11 years, to be profitable. If you look at 11 years, a journey of 11 years, and they've had people investing in that business for 11 years, believing that one day they are going to turn a profit. If you look at Amazon, for example, they also took a number of years to be profitable. Facebook itself, before they turned the first profit, it took them about 5 years. I want to hear, Captain, how do we bring our institutions to understanding that you can support a business for 5 years, for 10 years, before it is profitable?
makes money.
I feel challenged. Why does it have to take a foreigner to come and discover oil in Turkana? Why does it have to take a foreign financial institution to finance that venture? Why is it that we are not able to understand that not every business is started in January and is making a profit in February?
Eric, you know, you asking very cardinal questions, which brings me, as we fix it, to our main discussion of the MSMEs. How many MSMEs are in this country? We talk 7.5 million. Employing 7.5 million. Wow. And they grow by the day. Employing 15.2 million, adding 100,000 people to the employment. Now, these MSMEs, 50% of them do not see their second birthday. They die within the first year. Biggest challenge, access to credit. Biggest challenge, access to credit. The second biggest challenge, regulatory systems and government policies. Okay? Now, what is the problem that we have? Let's go back to what I said about the education system. I like to quote some of the guys who made it in business. Somebody said that most college degrees have no lessons in financial education. Most college degrees have no lessons in financial
education.
So somebody got a degree in science, in botany, but he has no knowledge he was not taught how that knowledge can be turned into money. Okay? And as you talked about discovery, we have people coming from foreigners coming into this country. We have geologists in our country who taught them, teaches them do our universities have a component for financial education? That would be the starting point. That there is no degree course that should not have, every degree course should have a component of financial education. But let's get back to the MSMEs. So after by the second birthday, 50% of them are dead. Financed mainly, how are they financed? Because you talked about the depression and the second chances. 40% of the SMEs are financed from family, personal, internal income, what somebody has saved.
Yeah.
Only 20% go for finance from banks. Another around 20% go to SACCOs. And SACCOs have played a bigger part.
Yeah.
Okay, because ni chama and they support each other.
Yeah.
The other almost 20% is using the mobile apps. You know, how much interest do the mobile apps charge? You know, it is crazy.
Yeah.
Some of them charge even 90%. In fact, the average is around 75%. If you borrow 10,000, you're going to pay 17,500. What kind of business is that?
It's not sustainable. Yeah.
Why are our people doing that? It is because when you borrow money from relatives, there is that shame.
Yeah.
As you said, somebody will say you are a failure.
Yeah.
You did not succeed.
Yeah.
You go to the bank. Oh, the very first fact you mentioned that you failed. What people don't know is that failure is the experience you had. You will not repeat that which
you've learned. You've moved a step forward.
You've learned.
Yeah.
Okay? And you will not repeat.
Yeah.
Now, this second chances comes because the way our economy is structured is only to look at the people who are doing it, the multinationals.
Yeah.
How do you have a situation where this man who started a small business, he wants to make Madazi, put them in a paper and distribute them. He will need the same licenses with the multinational. He will need to comply with the same regulatory policies with the multinational. Yeah. Is that possible? That is possible. Why these businesses collapse. Because we are not looking at ourselves. China, India, Japan have not developed by getting policies from outside. Yeah. They have developed because they have looked at what their people can do and tinkering their laws and policies, localize them to make them to business needs sustainability. Yeah. You see, I've talked about sustainability of the MSME. Yeah. Why is it not sustainable? Because you're making this individual comply with the difficult rules, licensing regulations, policies with the multinational. Yeah. It's not possible. They do not even have the expertise. Yeah. If you start your own business, for you to file returns, can you do it yourself? No. But Safaricom and you are supposed to do the same, isn't it? The form is the same. Yeah. Is there a difference? No. If you're getting license from the city county, do you get a different license from them? No. Do you get a different one from the M-Pesa kiosk? No. You see where the problem is? Yeah. So in other words, we do not have a process of nurturing. Incubation and making these people grow. Yeah. And you remember there was a time somebody had come up with a single business permit. Yeah. But after all, at the end of the day, it was fought. And now you have a situation where, just look at a matatu. If you make a mistake, what is it? Gashie is in Kiambu. Yeah. But you're moving to Nairobi every day. You remember there was a tough between the governors. Yeah. Why? Because you have to pay Kiambu County and pay Nairobi County. So is the matatu in Kiambu useful if it has to get to Akabete and stop there because movement to Nairobi requires another license?
It breaks the intention of connectivity. Yes. Which is important for business.
Yeah. And these are the things we need to look at. That once you look into this, then you re-educate the people. That a failure, Gerald Ford tried how many times to be president?
Very many times.
Yeah. Though he has his own issues, you had Donald Trump trying so many things. Yeah. But finally he succeeded.
He did. And he will go down
resilience
as a one-time president.
Locally, if you want me to use a politician, the Honorable Muturi Kigano, MP for Kangema, has been contesting elections since 1974.
1974, I was not born.
You see, you are not born. But he contested in 74, 79. He never won. But he won recently. Did he give up?
From 1974?
Wow.
Yes.
My guy.
So you see the question of our people wanting to give up.
Yeah.
And you see there is also the condemnation. I like what Bitok has come up with. You know, when we get people who succeeded from the odds, people who had no names, nobodies, the real hustlers coming to say their story, then anybody can succeed. Let me tell you, Eric, since my family had the last grass thatched house in the 90s in my village, when people see me in my village, and since I don't shy away, when young children, I give prizes to primary school kids. Once they see me, I am the reason that anybody can succeed.
True.
And I don't run away from that community. And that is me. I'm not going to run away from that history. There are people who would not invite me to their homes because sisi tulikuwa chini. Today they want you to make their events look glorious.
Yeah.
You don't begrudge them. They were lucky.
Yeah.
I would not begrudge anybody who was born into goodness. But however, I know it is possible to succeed. Okay? And this brings us to the ethos even of our society, even our language, the way we speak.
Yeah.
I look at social media, and let me tell you, I'm dismayed. I have doing some work somewhere. The guys who work for me, I mean, they some are. Sometimes you look at people, they tell you their level of education. I have to think, should this guy engage in this business? Can he help me in this construction? But along the way, I want to test him. If he can do something else, I will give him a higher a task that matches education. But I look at it and see people using very crude language against the lowest segments of our community, especially in Facebook. You have somebody telling you, so will you give your girlfriend a wheelbarrow? You see, because the wheelbarrow has come to be associated with something. Yeah. And I actually want to use it because I have seen people insult the very lower segments of our society. Eric, when I was growing up, my father did not have one. I confess that.
We used to borrow one from the neighbor.
So I also used to borrow from neighbors. Yeah. So if I got somebody to give it to me then...
It was a status symbol.
It was a status
They
symbol.
even have a wheelbarrow.
Even bicycle. You get? So when you insult people with it, please know that you are talking to the majority of the citizens. Now, these guys who work for me, during this, tunaita siku ya koroga. Siku ya koroga, nobody, it's a question of churning and pushing it. Yeah. So it's done speedily so that koroga lazima iishe. You know, isipoisha asubuhi inaendelea mpaka midnight because you don't stop at the middle. You must finish the slab. Yeah. So these guys need to borrow and to get these wheelbarrows. Do you know they are hiring them? Ile ya koroga is 100 shillings because we also pay them higher. So when you insult and talk about wheelbarrow, it actually shows your dearth of thinking. You don't have anything in your head. If to you, a tool of work is you are associating it. You are insulting the very people at the lowest ladder of society. These guys pay for it 100. Do you think Bitok they don't need to save that 100? That 100 buys them half kilogram of unga. Yeah. It also buys them some tomato and some skuma wiki. They would have saved that, but they did not save that because they need to pay 100. The days when now you also doing the walling, you mix the sand and the cement, you need that wheelbarrow is that day's hard for 50 shillings. And there are people who are making this business in Gikomba. In Gikomba, there are people who hire out mkokoteni daily at 100 shillings. Yeah. Others 200. Others hire out that trolley you are calling, you are insulting. And so they don't even focus on the tool. Please focus on the people who use the tool. Dignify their hustle.
That is now the SMME.
Yes, MSME. You know, because dignify what they do. Because that person wakes up at 6 even to line up.
And that wheelbarrow is their factor of production.
That is their factor of production. Without that tool, I can assure you, nobody is going to hire him at the Koroga. Yeah. So when you start saying... You know, and that is the kind of fundamentals we need to think about. Let's get to the basics. What are the basics that people need? Is this tool useful? Gong Road here, everybody selling the sweet banana is using that tool. So you when you say, oh, so mulitajirika, so now have you succeeded because you have it? that person has spent their own money. You know, if you ask people where they can even get that wheel that is used for wheelbarrow, do you know where to get it, Bitok? I can take you along Joko Road. It is made by, there is a graduate I know of a Bachelor of Technology, Moi University, a good friend of mine. He makes those wheels, okay, near Bama Market. That is the industry that feeds him.
Yeah.
Are you also insulting him that he is very unwise because you are telling him he's making... It's because that tool is required for work. Unless, of course, you want us to buy the carcinogenic ones.
Yeah.
At 100,000.
At 100,000. But the person who needs it needs to use it. Please respect the work he does. Respect that he wakes up to go and do that work. Encourage him that today you are using this. Tomorrow you will get something else. You utanunua gurumala ile kutengeneza wall. But we cannot at all the time be looking down and belittling
this person.
Captain, there's something as well, Erico, even as I give it to you as well back. There's something you had mentioned earlier, because I was saying time. The two things you mentioned. One of them, I want to give it a multi-throng. One, education. We've rounded around education so much. And there seems to be a very serious obsession with Kenyan businesses and government with papers. I mean, when someone says, I want a job, atakuuliza ulisomea nini? Wapi makaratazi zako. And so you find a lot of CVs are even being used kuasha jiko. When you go to downtown, ukinunua njugu, siku moja utapatana na CV yako imefungiwa njugu. CV yako inabaka unaona ukienda kufungua unasema, hey, hii ni Captain Collins Wanderi nilikuwa natuma application government, Ministry of Interior, whatever it is, you find your CV in the CPD. There seems to be so much obsession with papers to an extent that we overlook the ability of that person to work. And this is something I never look at personally, because there are a lot of people who can do crazy things, but they don't have any documents because they have learned from the best. This thing I'm doing, I never went to journalism school. But if it was to go around asking for a journalism job, they would never have given me. They've told me, where are your papers in journalism? Which school did you go to study journalism? You got it. But I mean, where I sit, even the guys who have gone to school would ask, hey man, you're doing a good job. Which school did you go to? It means they are recognizing that you can do it. There seems to be a serious obsession on what papers people have. I want you to look at that. Two is about the help. The other day I was hearing the young people saying, if you guys are giving the MCAs this and this to do this, we also want our help loans to be wiped off and we start afresh. People have gone to school. They have gotten their degrees, but their legs are still tied up with chains. Still attached to where they have come from. Like, yes, you've finished school, but remember, we are waiting for you to make money. Anytime you make a shilling, they're on your neck. You want back the money. What is the burden of help? That is number two. Number three, how do we now revolutionize our sectors to identify and understand that an economy can be moved by apprenticeship? Long time ago, I never used to go to school. We could sit with your grandfather if he was a blacksmith, and you learn how to kata hizi machuma. You'd sit with your grandmother if she's an herbalist, and you'd learn how to do herbs. You know, utajua hii miti inafanya hii miti inafanya. When you show the next person, they cannot know what it does, but you know because you've learned from the best. How do we harmonize all these three things to ensure that we have a society that's very functional? Because there are people who have not gone to school, but they can do business. They can run business. There are people who have not gone to school, but there's something they can innovate around, practically. How do we harmonize these three things around the education sector?
See, Bitok.
And also, you'll also pick that.
I talked about the skill-based knowledge, the art of doing. And I used two examples of people. Bernard Joroge studied water engineering, higher national diploma. But now he is very good at interior design, managing a construction, because I told him to refocus. This is what you are good at. Please forget about those papers. I'm not sure he can, if you give you a CV, and I'm not sure he will ever want to be in that sector again. Then I used an example, and maybe you read on my Facebook wall, of a graduate who studied food science, went abroad, learning about the desiccation, drying up of starches, came to Kenya, started doing the business, but collapsed within 2 years. Because, and I will mention, Kenya Bureau of Standards gave him some papers. Weights and measures is under the Ministry of Trade. Again, they never responded to his request on how he should label and pack his goods. Okay? And counterfeit as an authority. Okay? Also give him some papers. So all these authorities were there. Okay? About 4 of them. National Construction Authority, because they told him he can't run the cottage industry from a residential outfit. 400,000, 200 he got from a foreign donor who had come to Kenya. The foreign donor has since left Kenya for Rwanda. Yes. I did some work, forensic work for them to identify why this business, 27 out of 40, collapsed. Now, you need to get that these authorities and this government bureaucracy is so obsessed with papers that even as you want to do, leave alone employment, even the small-time business, there is no recourse to this person can do and let's hold his hands.
Yeah.
It's all about paperwork. People who are telling you, pack these things in this manner, they are the ones who should be looking for you to help you.
Yeah.
But they are very idle bureaucrats sitting in the office. They never responded. The day they came and closed his business, he got a court order against them. Then they sent another agency. Actually, this time they sent out counterfeit. They said he's counterfeiting. These products are not known. They're not registered. They closed. You know, he left. He went back to Kisii. He's from Kisii.
Yeah.
He knew that the farmers there have a lot of bananas, sweet potatoes. So he had decided to slice them, dry them, and preserve food. The MDG, the MDG goals that the UN agency was supporting, were to mainly in Africa is about preservation of food. Aren't we wasting food because we can't preserve it?
Yeah.
He came up with an idea. The business is closed because everybody is looking for makaratasi. Let's now go to employment. Just the other day we had, is it one of the agencies of government? An officer served from 2001 for 17 years. She was charged.
Human resource manager.
Okay? As being the human resource manager. Let us ask ourselves one question. Since she served at the job for 17 years.
That's a lifetime.
Without being detected.
Not any mistake, yes.
And they did not have a problem. Then isn't she more qualified than the ones with PhD?
Yes. Now they have now realized that she's not efficient because she doesn't have a paper.
For the paperwork.
Yeah.
Now you just realized.
Yeah.
But are you going to invalidate? That's even the question we should be asking ourselves. So everything that was done under her name and authority, is it going to be invalidated because she was not qualified? That's a question we should be asking ourselves.
There was the other doctor in Tindit, and in fact, women used to really praise him.
Yes.
They said it was a very good guy at midwifery.
Yes.
You know, he treated people. There's nobody who died in Tindit because of that doctor.
You know, and this is when you talked about apprenticeship. Some of the things I do and learn, and that's why I read very widely. I was employed the first time by an advocate, an old man. He told me this, that I don't employ people because I know everybody has a law degree. And he told me, when I was interviewing you, I was looking for something. I was looking for something. Not the papers.
Yeah.
And later on, I asked him, what were you looking for? Later on in life. Now, in the people I went to do apprenticeship with in that class, we have a professor and another PhD holder. He did not employ them after their time, but he gave them an opportunity. Later on, he told me, but I hired you and another colleague and another one, 3 of us. Later on, he told me, let me tell you why I hired you. Because you are among the very few lawyers I have listened to who can articulately even explain to people in Kikuyu language what that court thing needs. And since I have a lot of clients from there, those ones are your forte. You explain to them. You can explain to those people who never went to school. Please explain to them how this thing is done. Because he asked me, what did you learn? What did you write in your thesis? And I told him, so you understand this. Explain to me now. Okay, can I call my partner? You explain to us in Kikuyu. Now he said, then that is your constituency. So I have an added
advantage. Skill.
So would I have just been hired because I have a law degree?
No.
Then
in fact, the skill that is not supported by a paper was the blessing to the skill that is supported by the paper.
Yes. You get now the difference.
You remind me now.
And now he would tell me, one of his major clients, an old man who had a lot of property, would come and he would tell me, it is you to take Mzee to the bank. So I would go with that Mzee, fill in the paper, come to the office. He would even call me from the golf club and tell me so and so is there. You are the only one who sits with him to discuss.
Wow.
Please sit with him. Not even in the office where we were doing the studying.
Yeah.
In my office, where I would go to the red carpeted office, sit behind the seat, and talk with the old man.
Yeah.
And he would come and tell him, Mr. So and so, hii kijana, he knows maneno mingi. No, he would also now go ahead and teach me a few things.
Yeah.
And, I could see the difference, And then I learned, so it's not just about the paper. It's not just about
The paper.
And this is the focus has been our greatest undoing. Some of the people who've done great business in this country, what PhD in business did the late Jenga Karume have?
None.
What PhD in business did Mzee Kirema have?
None.
Okay? We lost a lot of people who have gone down with their knowledge.
Yeah.
With their
knowledge.
With their knowledge, a lot of people wrote books about the late Daniel Troy, teacher of Moi. I sometimes wished, because I had occasion to serve under his government when proper Securitat was really Securitat of the country. And I know a few things that were happening which would make our country very secure. I just wished he would have sat down and told somebody, this is the way I did it. Did you know that police wake up at 4 o'clock to do a morning call-up? Morning?
Call-up.
That's what it means to be an OCS. Do you know when that started? With the old man. Because by 5 o'clock, when he wakes up, he would want statistics. Where was a security problem? In Moyale, Marsabit, Garissa. So these guys learned to wake up, not just to talk about who they arrested, even about the security. The same thing is repeated in other installations of security. So everybody is, I was a duty officer. I have my statistics right. That even if I was required to deploy 1,000 men, I have 900 standby. You get? We all know that these things may have failed and a few things happened along the way. But you would have to get, is it that he went to school to learn that you can do it that way?
Application of common sense.
Application of common sense.
Yeah.
I've already given examples of my friend Kimaro who makes food color, and only him knows how it is done. And we have debated even as late as December how he will reduce that into writing. And he told me he has no time for that because the professors, all they want to do is learn his formula, then sell it to other people, and he loses his business. He's not going to do that. Let me shock you, Bitok. Maybe you did know. Because I like to study the business people in this country. The richest, or the man with the largest business in Gikomba in Kenya today, this Gikomba you know here, did not go beyond class 7.
Yeah.
You didn't know that.
I know.
He did not go beyond.
Can we get these people?
Yes.
Can you ask them to come out of this findings? I
He
mean,
did
we
not
need
go past class
to make these stories
7.
human.
Yet he is one of those people. I know he does not do business with government. He does his own business. You sit with him, he tells you how he ran away from home, hiked a lift in other people's cars, came and became a tout. Because of the traditional issues of his culture, had to be carted from Nairobi to go home and go through circumcision, because in his community it is a must. Then be brought back to Nairobi after healing, became a tout, started owning Mikokotenis, the ones I've talked, leasing them out.
Practical, simple, common sense application of knowledge.
And I say this because he has offspring who are in my profession. Okay? And I know he's climbed up. He's a billionaire who is he can teach you how to make the billion, not how to use it. How to
make it.
Yeah, see, that's the first thing he tells people. I know how to make money, but I will never teach you how to use it. The people who use it are his children.
Wow.
not the
So I started my chicken business with one feather.
Eric. You listen to him, and he is grateful to even those who give today. The people he expresses gratitude to is not the professionals who are helping him or the banks. It is the people who gave him an opportunity and trusted him to collect fare kwa matatu. Okay, because they believed in him, because you talked about believing. And how did he manage? Because they also knew that if I give this man, he is my tout, my money will get home.
Can be trusted.
He can be trusted. Okay? And even when they knew that the matatu business is down, he would even tell this man that, Mzee, do you know that now people are collecting garbage using mkokoteni? So if you buy 10, you know you have the money. He does not have the money. The person who agreed to get with him into that business later left the business to him. So you have town. How do people collect garbage in some areas? Using that mkokoteni, that trolley. Who had pulled
practical business.
Practical business. So these people can have PhDs in business. But who do we gift in even the universities? When our universities are doing convocations and giving people PhDs, 100 PhDs, who do they gift? Past the very fact that you go to class 7, although you are a billionaire, you can actually fund those universities.
True.
They will not even invite you.
Even buy one.
Even buy one.
Yeah.
You get.
Yeah.
And this is now where we need to change the mindset. How did the late Honorable Kirema get into the meat business and almost control it in the CBD?
That needs to be studied.
Has somebody...
And that has been a concern for me, Captain, that the literature, you talked about the philosophy in education, and when I look at books that we read, if you go to the best libraries in this Nairobi belonging to very prominent universities, the content thereof is completely foreign. I would, for example, want to study that Kirema business. I would want to study businesses, practical businesses in this country that have gone down, for example, and be able to see what fundamentals went wrong, so that the next generation of business people, and I am one of them, can be able to build up on the mistakes that the previous generation has made. But all this knowledge gets lost. You know, it just comes on the media, this business is going down, blah, 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 and before you know it, that story is packed on the side. We pick another story of a business that is going down, and we do not necessarily pick the lessons so that we can be able to learn from them. What do we need to do?
It's because there's something you said. We like laughing at ourselves. When a local business collapses, for example, if there's a supermarket, it's not just that person who loses. It is the suppliers, the workers, the people whose space was rented.
Our own self-confidence as a society
our self-confidence
gets threatened. But we cannot take it beyond this level.
We cannot do it. So we need a foreign retail chain to come and help us. And the reason why this is getting down is because unless somebody, for example, is a politician, is a thief, stole, it's not a useful story. It's not a useful story. You perhaps wanted to ask me how, if I could use the knowledge to write a thesis on LAD systems, traditional LAD systems, how did I get it? I was lucky to find my great-grandmother. And she had a lot of stories to tell me how they would go dance from Mzee Kenyatta. So one point I told my great-grandmother, you know, I don't know how long you will live. And I'm the second eldest great-grandchild. And I have gone to school. I will come with a book and we write the things you are telling me. Yes, and I recorded them.
Wow.
They are still in shorthand in my writing. But I use that knowledge up to this day because she would tell me this. Right now, every Saturday in my Facebook, I'm running a column on Kikuyu culture writing and even poems. How did I learn the words? Because she would explain to me what this word means. And we spent a lot of hours. She would get tired, even sleep during the interviews. I could not manage to buy a recorder. So the only thing I could write it by shorthand. But I gathered that knowledge. And sometimes I'll sit with some of my uncles and even disagree with them on some of the issues, even when it comes to issues of culture, and tell them that I confirmed this from your own grandmother, because you are now my uncle. This is what she said, and say, I think, because that knowledge will get lost, and nobody is recording it. Nobody is recording even on the medicinal plants. But foreigners will come and pick them. And that's why they have the audacity to tell us that they even have discovered whales at Watamu. But the fishermen are saying there, we already know it exists. But now somebody did not go and take photographs and perhaps put it in a blog. Something that tells me, which you asked us about what young men can do and women. How many of these to even preserve knowledge? The knowledge around them. The knowledge around them. Very few. Very few. Do you want to walk around with a brown envelope? It's okay. It's okay. It's fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay not to do a dirty job. Don't do it.
Yeah.
A dirty job. It's not easy, as you see, sitting with a person who is in their 90s going to 100 and listening to them. They talk slowly, but you have to be patient. You have to be patient.
Yeah.
The strike of the universities in the 90s, in the mid-90s, that is a period I used to sit down with her. We were home almost 1 year to sit down and write those things and document those things. Sometimes I flip through them and say, wow, I had even forgotten some of them, some of the words. Because this is what you're saying. Who sits down, even in Gashie, okay, there will be that person who failed. And there is also that person who succeeded. Get the both sides and then put it together. That's the knowledge we need. We have industry captains in this Kenya. We know some people who succeeded in the media. We will not mention them because they are his competitors. But some of them tried.
You should use me as an example.
Yes.
I've succeeded in it.
Tried, failed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now he is succeeding, but along the way, now when you succeed, people will come and tell you, let us get into strategic alliances.
Yeah.
That person may be a warning to you and tell you, no. The reason I almost failed is because of those enticements. Yes, enticements. Okay? I can tell you of people who've told me their stories, people who've succeeded. Others go to a point where somebody told them, now, look, now that you're succeeding, let me come and inject this capital
that you need
in it. But that person was never interested in helping your business grow. What they were actually interested is owning your business. And one of the persons told me that, looking back, I did not need the money that I was lent. I had already made my name by a unique business. Okay. Apparently that person is also in marketing stroke media. Okay, that's where they started. And they had a very unique business. But somebody came along the way and told them, no, we can give you this money. But they
come when the cow is producing milk now.
So now it's already a cash cow. No, you
don't want the heifer.
They don't want the heifer. No. So that is how that person went down. And when they went down, we were very easy to laugh at them. And that is a person who told me that second chances work because now they are retrying. They are retrying. But I can also tell you they were blacklisted, which takes us to those things of help. Now, for you to clear the loan in the help, you are looking for a job or even a business in this country. You get a PIN number. Sometimes you'll be told to get even consultancy. You need to produce that help. You need a KRA clearance. You will also need a CRB clearance. Let's look at it this way. I talked about our people now borrowing from the mobile apps. These are startups. If 50 of them are collapsing at the second year, where are they listed?
True.
In the CRB. Now let's go to help. If somebody is going to wait to look for a job, how long will it take you to get a formal job? I personally did not get permanent employment for a very long time. I was employed on contract, 6 months. So these people
and your qualifications are not
and these
basic.
People told
your qualifications are good.
These people told me that if you want us to be doing help business, that you do on your side. You pay that loan on your side. In our payroll system, payroll administration, we have no place for deductions to government bodies except NHIF and NSSF. Anything else is your business. Actually, they were very clear.
The vote head does not
anything
exist.
About SACCO, anything about help is your business. Then, of course, later on, help changed the law to require them. But they still said, after 6 months, we give you a letter that you're not an employee, so they cannot come after us. And that is the way somebody has arranged their business. The system, and I did that employment for 3.5 years. That way. So when was I going to pay the help loan? So, of course, now I had to be ingenuine to find a way of paying. Was there M-Pesa to pay?
No.
You needed to go and queue in a bank. Which employer will give you a whole time to go and queue in a bank to pay?
So to be compliant.
Even to be compliant for our time was very difficult. Okay? It's only now things have become easy with mobile money systems. But that time it was very difficult. Now people are listed there. So that means people are tied there, they can't move. Talk about second chances. We had young people who supplied the beds, which even the head of state was involved, isn't it? What did one of the big persons in government say? That we cannot buy those beds because that person is a criminal. Really? Bitok. Kenya prisons is one of the best places where you can learn carpentry.
True.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So why are we learning that carpentry if the person who went there and learned the skill comes outside and we cannot buy
Even live alone
and for me as a student of psychology,
number plates in the country
Yes.
come from
the question
prisons,
is, even this person who is a criminal, and they should not be, is part of the society.
Yes.
And we, as the people holding the higher moral ground,
Yes.
we should be the people asking ourselves, how do we rehabilitate this person
Yes.
back to productive, just life?
Exactly.
And work is the only route. So
This
if
one
this
was-
person has started to produce beds, I'm sorry to cut you short, it already means that they are already rehabilitating themselves.
Exactly.
Now they are saying, I don't want to steal from anybody. I want to produce problems for the society and they pay me for it.
You know, well, I am happy that the PS Interior intervened.
Yeah.
But Bitok, I have said before, you know, people high up that way need not intervene. He is too senior to intervene.
Yeah.
Before intervening, perhaps those juniors of his should have been addressed to explain
And I think
why.
that was more of a damage control mechanism.
Yes, but you
than
see that
genuine.
junior person, that arrogance.
Yeah.
You get that arrogance.
Yeah.
Looking down on the person. Maybe the person got into crime because they did not have the means.
Yeah.
Now you've taken them to a place where they've learned a skill, a life skill.
Yeah.
They come and apply the life skill. Now you call them criminals.
And
really?
that person should actually get a presidential award.
Yes, you know, because
To encourage other criminals
you've
also to change, yeah.
You've changed.
Yeah.
You're using this skill now to make a life.
Yeah.
And this is when you talked about second chances. Our society has a way of condemnation.
Yeah.
If you make a mistake,
Yeah.
if you make
A mistake.
you will be condemned.
Yeah.
Nobody will think about what else you can do.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
There are people who have failed in politics. They have left. They have gone to business. They have succeeded.
Yeah.
But the person will still remind you, where hukuchaguliwa.
Ukuchagule. Ulianguka.
Where ulianguka.
Yani mwanguki.
Wewe ni mwanguki. You know? There are also people who say, let me give you an example. A man I like to use. Because he is an industry captain. You know, he produces a juice. Mr. Kimani Rogendo. There are other things he makes people don't know. He makes articles, which I also sold to the military forces. That's how I came to meet him.
Wow.
Because I decided to go to his industry in Karen. And that is where, you know, these cane sticks that are worn by military people,
Yeah.
salute, he produces them.
The ones that shine.
There, yes. And so I went there and I saw it because we were going around to see the suppliers. Others I will not mention, they are not local. Let me mention that because he's a Kenyan. He has been a contestant in Nairobi, Dagoretti. Has he won the seat? Isn't he one of the people who attends presidential functions to talk about business in this country? He is, I know that.
Yeah.
Because he has succeeded.
Yeah.
Because that is where his calling is.
True.
So I would actually challenge, I still call him Mheshimiwa, Honorable Kimani Rugendo, tafadhali andika kitabu. Tell the young people that failing in that one sector did not stop you from succeeding. And now you can sit at the high table, even with the other captains of industry and with the head of state to advise on issues of business. Because that is where your calling is. How many politicians are in this country? 1450 MCAs, 724 nominated, that's around 2,100. Okay? Then you have members of parliament, 416, that goes to 2,500. 47 governors and deputy governors, that's 94.
Yeah.
That takes you to 2,600.
Yeah.
Then add the senators, 47, around 2,650, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, we are talking about 2,700 people. So how can we fit in all that space?
True.
So I don't want to be a politician. I want to do other things.
Yeah. We can serve the economy.
We can serve the
society
economy
through other
and
ways.
make our society better.
Yeah.
Because that is also something I like to tell our young
Yeah.
people. Everybody who makes small money wants to be an MP.
An MP.
The other day I was telling people in the presence of a CS in my village, and I told him, I am so impatient with people who don't keep time that I am not sure I can manage politics. And I told him, Mheshimiwa, and even the MP, please don't worry. When you see me doing things here for the youth, don't worry about your seats and your political interests. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
If I can serve people in other capacities, that is what I would rather do. And I do it. Okay? I want to try. I'm involved in management of a SACCO.
Yeah.
I have seen that SACCO grow from 460 million in 2014. By 2019, we hit 2 billion. In 5
Yes.
years. But some people did not almost believe that it can happen.
Yeah.
They did not believe it can
Happen.
happen. Now you move to tier 2 of the big circles.
Yeah.
Now other players come in, they want to manage you, but they don't know the journey you've walked.
Yeah.
Okay, I am proud to be associated with those institutions. Not because, in politics you may only affect a few people, but in business, if you run a good business institution and it is managed, how many people earn from it?
True.
Directly and indirectly. And that is where I would want the people to focus on. I am using the example of Mheshimiwa Kimani Rugendo because I know. I have seen people also write that, there are also runs. Wangoho Nganga, Kimani Rugendo. No, but you are forgetting. Why are you using that when he can employ those people who are writing the media? He can even buy their media house.
Yeah.
You see the difference. And this is what we need to think about. Can somebody go talk to him and tell him, sir, please let us record your success. And let's not get any just type of journalist. Let's get a journalist who has studied economics or accounting, so that he can explain to you and you can relate the terms to the way he has run his business, because he has succeeded.
Yeah.
And I also know he sponsors another entity where I sit as a voluntary board member, and he's one of the major donors.
Philanthropic work.
Yeah, those are the people we should be celebrating.
Yeah.
But in this country, celebrate politics.
Yeah.
When somebody fails in other things, we call them names.
Yeah.
When somebody doesn't succeed in that politics, we look down on them. No. 20 at most, if you add the hangabouts of politicians, 2,800 men and women can fit into that sector.
47, and they have to be paid by the rest of the people who are working in the other parts of the economy.
So who actually should we have more celebrate more?
Yeah.
It is business. Yeah. Because remember, every 100 shillings you make, that belongs to government. And you have no choice.
Yeah.
You have no choice.
All right. Naona masaa yetu leo kuisha. This story is very nice. Kanashika lakini sasa inabidi tukakate, lakini kabla tujaenda next week nataka tuongelee vitu mbili. There's something that have come up. Today I've been really doing a lot of observation. I think I need to do this more. Next week, I want us to talk about on Monday. Let's talk about the transition of business. You've mentioned about the people like the Kirimas. You've mentioned Ujamaa wa Maka, Njenga Karume. There are also other prolific business people who started business from nothing, without school, without nothing. Yes. Let's talk about the industries like in the trading. People used to sell sweets and ended up building multi-billion enterprises where they sell. Yeah. What is the transition? Where these people end? Where does it begin again from that point? How do we transition this business? Yeah. How do we take up the knowledge to ensure that it comes to us, that we can continue running this chain? The other thing is, what happens when you fail? Businesses come and fail.
True.
When you fail, what happens? Yeah. When you talk about second chance, okay, where do you start from it? Theory is okay. We say the God of second chances, hallelujah. Mungu atakupea nafasi ingine, utafufuka kama Yesu. But the reality on the ground is different. How do we rise from? Because since we've all probably done something that you failed at and started up again, how do you pick from there? Another thing, we want to see that lady you're telling us about.
Yes.
I want you to bring her on Monday. It's possible. I want us to humanize these stories. Let people see that these are things that are really practical. Someone can do this, and also they can also come out and do these things. How do you confront failure? How do you run from it? How to transition the knowledge that we have and we move to the next point? I think that's what we need to pick on Monday. But before we go on, to give you an opportunity, each one of you, to throw in your thoughts. I think, Eric, you've also been doing a lot of observation today. I want to give you an opportunity to speak, then we'll give it to Wanderi.
Good. I think I have learnt a lot from Captain. I could not have had better company this morning. Talk. Thank you for bringing him along. I'm looking forward to the next conversation on Monday. Just to encourage the people out there to keep trying. As Captain has said, you build credibility by doing and by being trustworthy. I think he has talked very deeply about character. And I think we are living in a society where we value intellectual knowledge more than the values of the character that is driving the head that is carrying that intelligence. I think it's a big challenge for us to be trustworthy out there. If you promise to deliver something to somebody, even if it is worth 1 shilling or 10 shillings, you've got to follow through and make sure you do it. And tomorrow, you will be trusted with 10 million, 100 million, 1 billion by building your credibility little by little every single day. Thank you so much. And have a great
day. That's something we need to look at. Resilience. How does it feel being in the same place every day?
Yeah.
like valuing valuing the strength of capital. A shilling at a time, a cent at a time. The patience that our old folks used to have. Unapata mtu anauza kitu kiosk, anauza anapata shilingi 10 anaweka, it grows. Young people these days, they want overnight success. We call ourselves the microwave generation. You want to put it in, plug in, utoe tukule. Hata I wonder if even this generation wachemushange githeri wanaenda supermarket wananua yenye iko tayari. They cannot sit. Hawezi kaa mahali na ngoje githeri hivi mpaka ikuje ikarango for 6 hours.
The virtue of patience.
Yes, our mothers used to weka githeri hapo kabla jenda kwa shamba meka githeri kwa mtu anakuambia wacha nirudi nipate githeri imeungua. It was a sense of patience in terms of growth and showing that you build something that's very sustainable. There's something you've seen, there's a culture of quick wins. Especially where we are right now, around Kilimani area. You hear people have been killed, watu wamepigana risasi, sijui someone is being looked for because alienda kadanganya mwingine kuna gold, sijui nini. There is a sense of overnight success, the desire to see things happening. Kuna kitu kingine pia umesema hapo, someone makes small money, you want to be an MP. Pesa kidogo tu, unataka kuwa mbunge. Pesa kidogo, ama unataka kuwa MCA. And then you come back again after you failed, you come back depressed, and you can't even find a place to pick from where you left it. There's also the strength of starting back again. How does it feel to start over? It's easy to be where you are, but starting over, you've built something. You got into a place where maybe you're living in Lavington, you're living in Kilimani, then suddenly it's all in the ashes. You have to go back to Eastlands or to Kayole. You have to start from scratch again. Where do you get the leverage and the courage to start again and look at people in the face that you're interacting with to tell, guys, I failed, but I'm trying again. What courage does it take to do that? So I think those are conversations that we need to pick up next week as we move forward. We can try and build some momentum. But I'll give you something to speak.
Arabi talk. There is no dignity in poverty. Poverty is very dehumanizing. And it can really make you feel like you do not exist. I never mentioned where I went to high school. Because before I went to that school, I believed my father had everything. But that school taught me and reminded me that there is a difference of classes of people. I don't mention it. I've only been back to that school twice since I left. One time because I could not avoid it because I needed to pick my papers. The other time because there was a very important function which was then the person who was a guest of honor is the current president when he was the Minister of Finance and Deputy Prime Minister. And I happened to be working under that ministry, and there was almost a directive that those who are with him need to accompany, but I did not like that place. That's why I know what poverty is and how it can dehumanize a human being and really make you get off the rails. And this is the things we are talking about. How do we get these people into the system? Number one is to even use kindness and words and respect and honor. Let us honor work. If somebody is not, if my cousins are looking after cows and selling milk and they are not begging me, then they are dignified. In fact, when we meet,
talk as equals.
We talk as equals because I will ask him. And I see even their spouses, how they talk to me. That they know that I have helped. And I will never mention their names. I will not even tell the others that I assisted so and so, even if it is my own brother, because I want to dignify that person. So I also dislike the culture where, and this is something I want to dissuade even those of us who think they want to run for political seats. Please don't use people's, misfortune to advance your image. No. It is wrong. It is uncultured. It is wrong. And this is where you see people want to say, donate this. Why, if you are donating to people, why do you have to come and show them in social media? Why don't you do it? Tenda wema, nenda zako. Okay? Tenda wema, nenda zako. You don't have to broadcast it. I have been in that situation where somebody said, I will only donate to you when I was in high school. If I agree to take pictures and go to the media. My own father said no. Yes. And I respect him for that. He said he would rather sell everything he holds. But his son is not going to the media to feed the ego of people with very little humanity, because that is what the people who do that have. They have very little humanity. You know, it is like displaying another human being in a zoo. There's no difference between you and the whites who came and dehumanized our people and took them to abroad to put them in a zoo. When you are displaying, it's a culture that we need to dislike. Then we need to dignify work. When you said that somebody be talk anaweza shuka, there are many things I would say I have done here in my life. If I told some people, they would still ask me if they see me in a suit. Are you sure? But yes, I have done them because that is what gave me bread, put bread on my table. That is what we need to dignify. First person to trust me with employment is a man who still stands in my CV, Mr. Ephraim Gadhaya. He was the Secretary of Red Cross before Abbas Gulet. He told me that he has people doing trenches to put his napier grass for his cows in the village. But he said, because you are the most educated among these guys, you take charge and you come with a stake to measure how they are doing. You get Bito? Didn't I know that I was a second year student, that I could not dig the holes like the others? But I dug with them, but I was given the responsibility to drop. You know, that stake needs to drop down so that that hole is now complete. Do you think I also stayed there supervising them? I dug. Because if he was going to pay me for supervising, I can also earn an extra coin by digging even for 2-3 holes in a day. And since he then told me, because you have proved yourself, I will hold your hand. Some of these things you hear, I am sitting in this board. He was one who would tell me that there is needed somebody here. This is a person I approve, because he learned a long time ago that he can trust me. Did I cheat him on the number of holes that were dug? No. Did I cheat him that so and so dug a proper hole? No. He inspected and knew that I supervised his work properly. He paid my dues and then decided to hold my hand. This is a challenge I'm giving to the young people, that you can go down and you can start from the lowest point in life, and you can do anything which is dignified. Yes, I knew I was a second year law student, but I was there kushiba mashimo ya kupada nyasi. You know, so
that has not stopped you
from being who you are. That did not stop me from being what I am. But the problem we have is we have people walking around here with papers and thinking that everybody else who is doing something else is a nobody, is nothing. No, let us respect the hustles of everybody. Let us dignify work. Any person who does not beg money from you, if he is using wheelbarrow to sell banana, okay. If he is using mukoteni, okay. If he is driving his taxi, okay. If he is with his boda, okay. The boda will one day become a taxi cab. The taxi cab will one day become a matatu. That guy could be the next biggest transporter.
Let me celebrate somebody now that Captain has brought it to my mind. One of my best customers last month, Bitok, is a guy who was my barber about 10 years ago. He used to shave me somewhere in Kiambu. And last month, he bought a vehicle from me worth over 2.5 million shillings. And the young man did not take a loan to buy that car. The young man is actually running his own furniture shop somewhere on Thika Road called Dollar Furnitures. His name is John. He's a gentleman I would want you to Dollar Furniture. He's very popular on Instagram. He's doing a fantastic job, and he has employed quite a number of people making the furniture, people transporting the furniture. I see him working hard every day on social media, and I'm like, this is a great example to other young people.
But he has no PhD.
He has no PhD.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Wow. That has been a conference. So, I mean, let's have this lady on Monday. Yes. Then next Monday we have a dollar guy. He come and tell us about the journey. Let's humanize these stories.
Yeah. Yes.
Let people see it. So, and there's something that I like that you've said is retire your ego. We have a lot of ego as young people. You walk around with your ego. And you have nothing.
Yeah.
You wake up in the morning, get in the streets and come and take tea. Unamaliza chai in Nairobi.
Yeah.
Kaa chini na kunywa chai. Then you go back in the evening. Retire your ego. You know, retire your ego. Start working. Retire your ego. Start building something.
Arabic talk. Yeah? You know, these egos, they are nothing. They are no. You have a lot of people walking shells, empty shells.
Yeah.
They have nothing. And you talked about the psychology. You know, people who cannot work.
Yeah.
they want a job, but they cannot work.
They cannot work. They can't do the job. And I will want
not
captain.
the job.
Yeah.
They want a job.
Yeah.
A job in a sense of Kenyans is where I sit
and get money.
Somebody thinks for me, puts his capital, then I receive pay. Yeah. But I can't work. Yeah. Working is converting ideas into money. You've talked about somebody from Kinyozi.
Into holding a multi-million enterprise. Thank you guys. Masaa zimetuacha, tumepitia karibu dakika 10 na kitu. Thank you so much guys for tuning in. I want to comment Abubakar Abdullahi. This guy is talking sense material for presidency and top executive position in government. Na ile naona amepiga makofi hapo. Abbas Njuguna, somebody today in South and looks down upon wheelbarrows and mkokotenis because he has a fleet of lorries in transport sector and imagines he's a very successful person. Interestingly, he says he was once using mkokotenis. I know the person he's talking about, but anyway, don't mention. Mushai Wangasha is following conversation. I really learned. I've really learned a lot. Sama, God bless you guys. Thank you so much. Pauline Cherop, the captain of Storas, a lot. Thank you. Mpwani Mpoa anasema anaangalia. Asante Nelsia. Great conversation. Arabitoksa. He's a smart guy. Asante sana. It's a good morning. Good morning all the way from Ghana. Thank you so much. Pauline Cherop, God's second chance is never in vain. Abbas Juguna, someone had the appetite to import the beds and made billions in profit. It's only that his mission backfired. Pauline Cherop, somebody rehabilitated back to society, not condemned in mambo ya criminals. Walter Nyakwar, Veron Christian Conversation Bitok, thanks for bringing these guys here. Thank you. Pauline Cherop, resilience is found boring. Yeah, young people find resilience boring. Why should I be sitting here? Because I'm Maembe. John Kaemba, doing business with the people, the public guarantees your returns. You can trust the people and not the government. All right. Asante sana. Thank you so much for always tuning in, guys. We really appreciate it. It was a pleasure having you again. Kaniwa Kaniru Semis Captain Wanderi is very inspirational. All right. Thank you. You have to see you again on Monday. We pick up the common sense conversation. We are going to have that lady, Rafiki Wanderi, hapa atakuja. Akuja tuambie vitu inakaje kwa ground. Away from the true conversation that we have. Kwa ground, vitu inakaje. What does it take to build this thing? I hope to see you again tomorrow on Monday on Common Sense. But tomorrow again, we have our programs as usual, Monday to Friday. Tomorrow we have economist David D. We have to see you again tomorrow, guys. Take care. This is The Tackle, and The Tackle ends now. Bye-bye and take care. Bye-bye.